Hey, guys and gals, and welcome to the second episode of Open the Gates, the films of Lucio Fulci. Tonight I'll be talking about The Beyond and House by the Cemetery, both from 1981. So at this point in time, Fulci was really cranking these babies out. But before I get started, getting into these movies for tonight. I did want to talk about some things that are going to be coming up here shortly. No watch alongs this weekend. Again, I apologize for having to cancel House by the Cemetery for this past weekend. I really wanted to do it, but there is more time to come. I'm planning on still doing it for Fulci Fall. It won't be this weekend, but the following weekend after that, I'll be doing a couple of watch alongs. So stay tuned for that. Now, I'm hoping we're just going to have to see how I feel. And I hope y'all like the little light show back there. This is actually Steve's Friday the 13th, and hello to my dear husband there before I forget. This is his little, y'all have probably seen those little spinning lights. You can have it stationary, but I just think it's cooler when it spins like that. And this is the Friday the 13th one. And then Steve, although he doesn't remember, I think he got me the Scooby-Doo one. I think the Scooby-Doo is technically mine and the Friday the 13th one is his. So, or maybe the other way around. I don't know, but one of them I think is mine. He says he doesn't recall. But so since I got the Halloween stuff out, I told Steve I was going to alternate on my live streams and videos. I pick, I like both of them, but I think I'm probably partial to the Scooby Doo one. So we'll just say that one's mine. But I'm borrowing Steve's tonight. So I hope y'all enjoy the little light show back there. But I hope to be able to do a pre-recorded video for Forgotten Fulci. I didn't get to do that last week like I wanted to because I just wasn't feeling up to it. I've got myself on some vitamins. I'm hoping that gives me some more energy. I was sick this morning, like, stomach issues. So stuff wasn't wanting to stay down, if you know what I mean. And I think you do, as Joe Bob would say. But I'm not sure why that looks kind of foggy up there, but I hope it's not my camera lens. But anyway, I'll get off of that. But I'm hoping to do Forgotten Fulci, which will be a pre-recorded video tomorrow night at some point. I'm going to talk about a couple of movies that people don't usually associate with Fulci. When people think of Fulci, usually they think of, the stuff I'm going to talk about tonight, The Beyond and House by the Cemetery. Tom, you said it would be great having a Zoom watch along with other small movie channels. Yeah, that would be interesting, Tom. But the truth is, I'm just not sure how to do that. I've used Zoom for meetings. But if you have some tips or something, I would be glad. I'd be open to that. Now, the only thing with that I'm concerned about is, a lot of people have wanted me to show the movie as we're talking about it. And the only problem with that is if YouTube gets wind of it, which they invariably will, they, you might start getting copyright claims, or worse yet, copyright strikes. And that's why I do not ever show the movie unless it were to be in public domain or something like that. Or I have actually gotten permission from somebody to use, short films or something of that nature. So, like I said, I would be open to it. But the caveat is I could not show the movie um, because I'm just, I'm too gun shy on that. Um, so I'm not sure. Maybe Steve knows. Steve says could stream it on Vaughn Live. But yeah, but Steve, do you know anything about doing watch alongs on Zoom? Because I haven't a clue. The only thing I've used Zoom for is meetings, and I'm not sure about setting up anything. And getting, I don't even know about getting connected with other small movie channels. Um, Now, Tom, when you say having the Zoom watch along with other small movie channels, are you talking about people that have YouTube channels, um, or well, you say small channels should stick together and help each other out. They most certainly should. And I would be willing to throw my hat in there and help anybody out, and we could reciprocate. It's just that I would need some guidance on setting things up with Zoom, and I I'm not sure how to go about connecting with these other small movie channels. I'm green when it comes to that. I've gotten where I'm used to StreamYard and stuff like that. But if anybody, Tom, my dear husband, anybody else could give me some pointers, like I said, I'm open to it. Or if nobody has any pointers, I guess I could look it up myself. You say YouTube channels, they will help you, would show you. Okay. Well, let me ask you this, Tom. Have you actually participated in some of those Zoom watch alongs? Um, because I would love to know how those work and how those pan out. And, do a lot of people watch them and stuff like that? I just wanted to know a little of the analytics, I guess. You've seen some. So does everybody seem like they're really enjoying that format, Tom? Because I definitely, like I said, I'm open minded. I would be willing and able to explore other opportunities. Okay, I appreciate it, Tom. Tom is always, throwing stuff out there, and I really really appreciate that, because there's so much stuff that I'm not aware of and would not be aware of if people didn't tell me about it. Steve, you say you don't, perhaps would be like sharing the screen. Yeah, it's possible. And I'm gonna do a little research myself as well. um And then Wednesday, I'm planning on another apples and oranges. It'll be Fulci related. I'm just not sure what I want to do yet. Thursday will be another fantasy Fulci, where I'll be talking about another group of films that I wish or would have liked to seen what Fulci could have done with them. Um, Friday will be another Friday Foolish, and I'm going to have to get with Candace, because I thought we had discussed um, something else we wanted to do for, and maybe I'm just dreaming that up. Something else that we wanted to do for Friday Foolish, but just a little reminder, we have switched the time for Friday Foolish to 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Fridays. Instead of doing it in the middle of the day, we'll be doing it later in the evening. So just wanted to throw that out there as well. I still have not done a Terror Time tea. I may try to do a pre-recorded one real quick after this. But I'm trying to get a little rest because I was feeling so bad today. Um, and I worked, I kept at it and kept plugging away at work, but didn't feel too good a little earlier today, and I'm still kind of achy and stuff. But at least stuff like food is staying down. And as I said, no watch alongs this weekend. Sorry about that, folks. But the following weekend, there will be a couple more Fulci ones, including House by the Cemetery. So, with all that being said, let's go ahead and dig into these movies. Now, the first one I want to talk about is Beyond from 1981. This is those. I'm kind of sad that Arrow quit doing their movies in this packaging, their Blu-rays and stuff. Because I just thought this was really cool. I don't know what anybody else thought about them. I think Steve liked this packaging, didn't you, Steve? Um, but a little background on the Beyond. Like I said, it came out in 1981. Not a long movie at all, at an hour 27 minutes. It was also put out in a truncated, cut version as Seven Doors of Death, which is, believe it or not, that's the first version of the Beyond that I saw was under the title Seven Doors of Death. Steve says yes in all capital letters, so that must mean he really liked that packaging. But so hey Arrow, if you could bring back that packaging, it'd be cool. I'm sure they're gonna listen to me. Um, but so when I watched it under the Seven Doors of Death title, I was not even aware that it was a Fulci film until later, and that there was, another version of it that was uncut under the Beyond title. And I very naively watched it, and I thought Louis Fuller was a real person. I didn't know that that was a pseudonym for Lucio Fulci. How dumb I was back then, or naive, I guess I should say, not dumb, but naive. Um, but in the years after, and a few years later, maybe a couple years later, a year or two later, I realized that, oh, that was the cut version. If I want to watch the full unfeathered version, then I need to watch the Beyond. And so I was just astounded at how much better and gorier the Beyond version was. And then years after that, after I met Steve, and then when Steve and I started dating, Steve, do you remember us watching the Beyond together on one of my visits? That was a fun time, and me and Steve were really, really enjoying the 5.1 surround sound at that point in time. Uh, Steve had, I thought his sound system was fantastic at the time, and Steve says, kinda. Um, he says, "Oh yeah," because we were hearing things from everywhere. We were hearing stuff from behind us and everything. We were like, "This is so cool." Um, women remember things better than men, for the most part. No offense, Tom, but it's been my experience that women will retain their memory of a lot of things that men, it slips right out of their mind. Um, so a little, background on this, or a plot synopsis, a short plot synopsis, because I don't like to, just go crazy with the plot synopsis. So, a young woman, played by Catriona MacColl. This is another Fulci film she was in. Actually, she was in this one. She was in The Gates of Hell, and she's also going to be in the next one I'm going to talk about, which is House by the Cemetery. So a young woman inherits an old hotel in Louisiana where, following a series of supernatural accidents, she learns that the building was built over one of the entrances to hell. Now, a little more backstory, um, which the movie opens with. There is an artist named Spike who they accused, or the townsfolk accuse of being a warlock. And Spike is at this hotel in Louisiana, and he's just, I mean, he's kind of minding his own business and painting this picture, which will look eerily prophetic when you watch the entire movie, because what Spike is painting is the beyond. Okay. So these guys, these townsfolk, break in, they attack Spike, they call him a warlock, and they beat him with chains, and they cut his face, and um, put plaster on it, or throw something really hot. It appears to be plaster, but it's hot and it like burns into his face. They also basically they crucify him. You see them hammering, nails into his wrist, and yeah, it's a very gruesome death for the beginning of the film. And so many years later, when Catriona McCall's character inherits the hotel in Louisiana, in fact, she inherits the hotel where Spike was painting and was attacked and basically walled up in one of the rooms in the hotel, a la, a Edgar Allan Poe story. If anybody remembers the Cask of Amontillado, it's kind of similar to that, because they wall Spike up inside the hotel. But in Edgar Allan Poe's story, The Cask of Amontillado, this one guy just absolutely hates this other guy, so he gets him real drunk, and then while he's drunk, he walls him up. And I'm guessing the guy, either suffocates, dies of a heart attack, or whatever from being walled up in that story. But with Spike, they basically pretty much do him in before they wall him up. And so it is my take on this that Spike has put a curse on this hotel. And so what Spike does is he kills people, and then they come back as like, zombies. We have Joe the plumber, and I swear Joe's his name, and he is a plumber who Catriona McCall hires to fix the pipes in the hotel, because there's water waist deep, or about waist deep, in the basement of her her new hotel she's just inherited. It's just a big old mess. And so Joe the plumber goes into the basement and gets attacked by Spike, or one of his helpers from the beyond. And so then Joe the plumber, he comes back, and he comes back in this is a weird looking funeral home. But basically, I didn't know anybody ever did this, and maybe in Italy they do, or maybe in Louisiana they do. But the wife, actually, Joe the plumber was having an extramarital affair with one of the assistants. I don't know if she's like, you consider her a maid or what. That's helping Catriona McCall out with the house, or with the hotel. and he's having an affair with her, but his dear wife is the one that comes to dress him for the funeral. And while they're doing that and getting everything ready, so her and the daughter come, this little red-haired girl with pigtails. Joe starts to rise from the dead, and acid, I think it's acid, and when it falls, it bubbles up and looks like a slushy. I swear to goodness, it looks like a slushy. And so that's what I always thought of it. It looked like a slushy spilling out on the floor. So the wife gets killed, and the daughter is blinded during all of this. And then Joe is basically free to go and kill a bunch of other people and turn them into zombies to do Spike's bidding. But the movie also has one of the most spectacular shotgun blasts to the head. And, I don't want to give too much away in case you have not seen The Beyond. I don't want to spoil it for you. I just say, you got to watch this film. And this is this is also one of my top Fulci films. Probably my favorite Fulci film, though, is going to be Gates of Hell, aka City of the Living Dead. But The Beyond and House by the Cemetery, they're up there for me too. I'm not as much on things like The Devil's Honey, which is one of Steve's favorite movies, I think. All I can say is 2 words: saxophone sex. And New York Ripper, I like to some extent, but I don't like New York Ripper as much as I do things like The Beyond, City of the Living Dead, House by the Cemetery, all of those, Zombie. Those are the ones that really, get my juices going as far as Fulci films. But so you have a lot of gore, as most Fulci films do, especially as his horror stuff. You have, a lot of great kills in this. I'm not going to go over every death in this because, I want people to be intrigued enough if they have not seen much Fulci, and especially if they have not seen The Beyond. I want them to, want to actually watch this. I don't want to spoon feed every kill and every piece of gore to you during this retrospective. I want to give you the basics, including runtime and what year it came out, all that stuff. And now I'm going to give my rating for The Beyond. And I'm telling you guys and gals now, you're going to see this 5 deadites out of 5 quite often, especially when I'm talking about the more horrific Fulci stuff. And this one I can highly recommend. I wouldn't give it 5 deadites out of 5 if I didn't. I would say, if you have not seen this, run, don't walk. Don't go out and buy it just yet if you've never seen it. But if you can, watch it on the usual suspects, if you can watch it on Tubi or YouTube or something like that for free, or you could borrow it from a friend or a family member that may have it. I would go that route first, or those routes first. And then if you, after watching it, you decide I'm not full of crap and that this is something that you could see yourself watching again, then it might be time to think about purchasing it. But I never want to say, oh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. You got to go out and buy it. Because I got to keep in mind that everybody may not have the same exact taste as I do. But anyway, That's the Beyond. The next one and the last one I want to talk about tonight is The House by the Cemetery, also starring Catriona McCall, Paolo Malco, Anna Peroni, uh, Giovanni Frezza plays Bob in this, and Sylvia Colatina as May. Dagmar Lassender. Steve really likes Dagmar Lassender, or he liked very young Dagmar Lassender. He liked the way she looked. And of course, directed by Mr. Lucio Fulci. Um, yeah, let's go into a little bit of the plot for House by the Cemetery. Now, House by the Cemetery also came out in 1981. It's an hour and 26 minutes. It's a minute less than The Beyond. It is not rated. Excuse me. Which The Beyond, I think, is not rated either. Now, if you watch The Seven Doors of Death, I believe it will be rated R. So, they actually have this listed as 88 minutes. So, it'd be an hour and 28 minutes. So, there you go. So, what is this about? So, a New England home is terrorized by a series of murders, unbeknownst to the guests that a gruesome secret is hiding in the basement. Now, Catriona McCall and Paolo Malco play a married couple with their son Bob, played by Giovanni Frezza, who, poor Giovanni Frezza. Let's talk about him a second. This poor guy, there's no telling how many years he has been apologizing for them using a woman as his dubbed voice. And a lot of people find the dubbed voice, very annoying. And because of this, a lot of people find the Bob character in House by the Cemetery annoying. I don't find him too annoying. Steve, is that some kind? What is that? Is that an alien waving at me? I'm always trying to figure out these emojis that Steve's using. But poor Giovanni Frezza. That's all I can say about that. And then you have Sylvia Colatina, who plays the young girl May. And what she's always telling Bob is, Bob, don't go inside. And I swear to you, that's what she says. She says it a bunch of times in the film. But overall, the film. Now, let me tell you a little story about this film. And not my first viewing of the film, but my first experience with it. Just a YouTube stock one, not sure what it is. It always looks to me, I think you've used it before, it always looks to me like an alien that's waving at me. And it's a cute alien. Looks like a multicolored alien. But so I'm guessing those are things that you can pick if you're watching this on YouTube, and you can pick from the little emojis. So, anyway, I went to a lot of video stores in my youth, and one of the video stores around my hometown I went to, and mom and dad knew the guy that owned it. Pretty much everybody. I'm from a very small town, so everybody knows everybody else. So everybody knew this guy, and we went in there quite often to rent videos. And I went in there on one occasion, and I can't remember if that was the occasion that I was looking for The Shining to rent or what. But I went in there for something completely unrelated to House by the Cemetery. And I don't think I rented it then. And here's why. The guy that owned the video store pointed at this movie. He saw me kind of looking at it. I was intrigued by the video cover. And I picked it up and I was turning it over and reading about it and looking at the pictures and all that. And he said, "Oh, you don't want to watch that." He said, "That's the stupidest movie I've ever seen in my life." And that's probably why I didn't rent it at that time. But I learned really quickly to make up my own mind about films like this. And it's not a stupid movie. I mean, it might have been to him, but me being the type of person I am, a person that was pleased when I discovered Dario Argento, and was pleased when I was able to start watching Lucio Fulci films and being able to rent those and all of that. It was just like it was like opening a door and getting some fresh air. I mean, if you're not a horror fan, then you might not understand that. But if you are a horror fan and have been a horror fan for many, many years, you will understand that analogy. Hopefully, Steve understands that analogy. Um, hey, Cryptex. Um, so this couple, the husband is doing research on a doctor named Dr. Freudstein. Okay. And we find out some very unsavory things about Dr. Freudstein. And that he was doing some weird experiments and stuff. And something bad happened to him and his family, evidently. And we also find out that Dr. Freudstein is buried. There is a crypt in the basement, or a grave in the basement. And Freudstein is in that basement crypt. The other members of the Freudstein family, we find out, are buried in the cemetery close to the house. But Dr. Freudstein evidently killed his wife and daughter. And then, because he had become this, due to his experiments or whatever, he had become this monstrous being who, because of that, refuses to stay dead. And there's a lot of gore in this movie. Not just slashings and stuff, but I mean, people really getting absolutely, basically gored to death, if you can use that word, or if I can use that word. You have a girl at the beginning of the film, her and her boyfriend have snuck in to the house, and that never bodes well when somebody sneaks into a house that they don't have any business being in. And the boyfriend gets killed, and then she gets a knife to the back of her head and comes out through her mouth. And I believe that is that Danya Doria, who was the one that unfortunately ended up puking up her entire intestinal tract in the gates of hell, aka City of the Living Dead. Hey, Blissful. And so I heard that Fulci didn't much care for her, and more than likely that's why he would, do these awful things to her in the films. So this family moves into the old Freudstein house because the husband is doing some research, and his associate, they were both doing research, and he went to the house and he ended up killing himself. And so Paolo Malco's character has to go there, and if they want to finish the research, he's going to have to go there and do this. So they've rented the Freudstein house, and before they even leave, Bob sees the vision of May, and she's telling him, "Bob, Don't go inside. And I know that sounds silly, but in the context of the movie, it really works. Um, and I'm going to give a little bit of the ending away. So if you haven't seen this, I'll give you a few seconds to step away or plug your ears or whatever. Some of you may be able to figure this out already. But you ready for this, folks? May and the woman that keeps showing up too and tells May that it's time to go, and you hear her voice sometimes, May, it's time to go. That is Mrs. Freudstein, and May was Dr. Freudstein's daughter, and their ghost. And when it's only Bob left alone, thank you, Blissful. Blissful's telling people to hit the thumbs up. And I appreciate that as always. So when Bob is left, he's not left alone. May comes and May's mother comes, and again she says, May, it's time to go now. And so Bob, and it's kind of hinted that Bob is a ghost too by that time. That Freudstein had killed him and his whole family, but he's the one that gets to go off with May and her mother. And where they go, I don't know if they're just in some kind of nether world, but this is a Lucio Fulci film. What do you want, from that? Do you want something to make complete sense, or do you want to have fun with it? And I'll sacrifice a little making sense for a lot more fun, but that's just me. There may be some people that say, nah, I don't like that. Because I'll be totally honest, there are a few things in House by the Cemetery that don't totally make sense. For instance, when Paolo Malco shows up and there's a weird thing with him and the realtor played by Dagmar Lassender. She acts like she wants to ignore his wife, but she just seems to be just really into him. And there are people that say, they asked Paolo Malco, didn't we see you here before? And he acts kind of shady, and it's like, but it's never explained. It's, did he come there? Did he have an affair with Dagmar Lassender, the realtor? I mean, what's going on? And Dagmar, she ignores Catriona McCall. Catriona McCall waves to her, and she just turns away like she hasn't even seen her or doesn't want to see her. And for those of you that have seen the film, I don't know if you were able to make any interpretations of what that meant, or was it just Fulci being Fulci and he didn't mean for it to mean anything. But if I was to give this a rating, which I'm going to, this again is going to get 5 deadites out of 5. I just can't, honestly, I can't give these things any lower. If you are a fan of these types of movies, I would urge you, especially if you've not seen these, to seek these out in a for free version first, right? But then if you decide, boy, this is something that I could definitely see myself watching more times. Cryptex, you say it'd be cool to have me on your channel as a guest. Well, I would probably be up for that, Cryptex. You'll have to hit me up when there's something that you would, want me to be on. And, my schedule's not that busy. I don't want to let anybody know that I'm that I'm, just too busy to be on anybody else's streams. I haven't been on anybody's streams or videos or anything like that for a long while. So I would, definitely be up for that. Um, but anyway, that's about it from me as far as talking about the two Fulci movies. I've talked for almost 45 minutes, and I really appreciate. It seems like a few more of you are dropping in for these streams. I don't know if it's something I'm doing different, or it's just the idea that Fulci is something that people are interested in. Oh man, almost hate to get off here. We got 7 in here. Um, um, yeah, I can Cryptex. I can share my email because there's really not that many of you in here right now that I gotta worry about somebody getting my email, because they can get this email off of my shop site and stuff. Yeah, Blissful, go ahead. Yeah, I'd like to check out his channel as well, because I saw you said that your channel looks amazing. Um, but Cryptex, there's my email. Evil Dead Chick. That's what a lot of people know me as online. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna. Oops. I was going to put that up. I didn't mean to, but we'll put that up there anyway for anybody that wants to check that out there. You can also see it in the chat as well, folks. Uh, okay. So, thank you, Blissful, for doing that. Oh, you're very welcome, Cryptex. I think I'm going to go subscribe too, because I'm always on the lookout for new channels to check out and stuff like that. So, but I want to thank everybody that was in here tonight, whether you were watching or whether you were chatting or whatever. My dear husband was in here. Tom was in here. Um, Blissful, Cryptex. I want to thank everybody that was in here tonight, whether you were in chat, whether you were watching. I want to thank everybody that will watch this on the replay, because I realize that not everybody can, jump on here when I do a live stream. That's right, Tom. Small channels together. That's a great tagline, too. Drop my Discord. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Give me just 1 second here, people. Always. Now, I haven't done this in so long, Blissful. I forget. I need to do the. Well, where in the heck is it? I'm trying to find my little invite thing. There we go. I always forget, and I haven't done that for a while. So yeah, here's my Discord, and it's free to join, guys and gals. So be sure to check that out. Also, while I'm on a roll, I guess I will put my Patreon. Blissful, you say send me the links and I'll put them into my notes via Messenger. I'll try to remember to do that. If I forget, just keep reminding me, Blissful. So, my Patreon, you can join for as little as $5 a month. And if you want to visit Deadites on Deck Patreon, and see what all there is to offer on there. No requirements. You can still watch my videos and stuff like that. You know how forgetful I am, blissful. But anyway, uh, again, I want to thank everybody that was watching, everybody that will watch on the replay, everybody that was in the chat. Even if you weren't in the chat, I thank you. I thank all of you for your support. And I guess I need to cut this off or I'll be blabbing forever and ever. So I'm hoping to have a Forgotten Fulci tomorrow night. This will be a pre-recorded. It will not be a live stream. I'm hoping to have one of those up at some point tomorrow night. And with that being said, I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt is not dirty, but I'm off like one. And before I go, I want to remind everybody, as I always do, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Monday, and let's kick Tuesday's ass, and let's get it ever closer to Friday, because that means the weekend, and I always look forward to my weekends. My thumbnails are unique. It's my signing card. That's a good way of looking at it, Tom. I'm glad that so many of you seem to like the thumbnails. I do try to put quite a bit of work into them to make them, unique and make them stand out. So I'm glad so many of you guys and gals are enjoying them. Thank you, Cryptex. Wow, I'm gonna have to keep up on these thumbnails now if y'all like them so well. You're forgetful too, blissful. Ooh, man, we're a pair right now. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here for now, but I'll see everybody next time.